We're on the record in cause number 329126. The case is styled the state of Texas versus David Anderson DeRoche. Is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. DeRoche, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. DeRoche, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mr. DeRoche, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. DeRoche?
Okay.
You okay? That's good. Mr. DeRoche, I have before me a document that is called the information. In this information, it alleges that on or about October 25th of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. DeRoche, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. DeRoche, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Your Honor, reference that charge the state is abandoning the enhancement paragraph.
Oh, okay. Well, Mr. DeRoche, the state has elected to abandon the enhancement paragraph. And what that means is you will not be charged with a Class A misdemeanor offense in this case. You'll be charged with a Class B misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated first. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge, Mr. DeRoche, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, and no contest?
Guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you're guilty?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. DeRoche, I have before me a document that is titled, let me do this here. Judge's explanation of rights to defendants without an attorney. And Mr. DeRoche, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is that your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line that reads, I want to waive my right to an attorney and represent myself?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I also have another document here. This document is titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial. Mr. DeRoche, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is that your signature above the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
Mr. DeRoche, I also have before me a document here that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishments. Now, with the adjustment that I made, I changed it from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class B DWI. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on page 2 of the same document, there are 2 sets of initials at this, on the second page of this document. Are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
And on the 3rd page of the same document, Mr. DeRoche, there's a signature above the line that says defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And I have another document here. This document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Mr. DeRoche, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is that your signature above the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, there are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving, which means, it states that you're waiving your right to appeal, which means that you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Mr. DeRoche, prior to signing all of these documents, the ones on the tablet and the ones on paper, did you have an opportunity to read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor, we would.
Now, Mr. DeRoche, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State's Exhibit number 1 is the document that states here that the state is abandoning the enhancement paragraph, which makes this a Class B DWI. It also, that's on page 1. On page 2, have your initials, the initials that you identified as being yours. And on page 3, at the top, above the line, it says defendant, it has your signature that you have identified as being yours. Now, the state would like to use this document as evidence against you in your case. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No objection. State's exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Okay. Now, Mr. DeRoche, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial? Okay. Mr. DeRoche, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of guilty and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, we do.
And what is that agreement?
That agreement is for Mr. DeRoche to serve 90 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, that time will be probated over 1 year. He'll pay a $750 fine and do 80 hours of community service, and also be required to take DWI classes.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. DeRoche, the state is, as I said earlier, abandoning the enhancement paragraph, which makes this a Class B misdemeanor. Now, the state is offering that you serve 90 days in jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in jail in this case, because you will be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you will be required to pay a fine of $750 plus court costs, and the fine and the court costs comes to a total of $1,172. You'll be required to pay $60 each month for the probation fee, $15 each month for a urinalysis fee. And on the day of the plea, you're required to pay $125 to the Jefferson County DWI education class and initial evaluation fee. Should a further evaluation be needed, you will be required to pay an additional $50. Now, the total monthly installments that you will be required to pay in this case is $185 per month. Mr. DeRoche, will you be able to pay the $185 per month?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. DeRoche, you will also be required to pay $80 of, you will be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of probation, and you will be required to attend the DWI education class and alcohol assessment. Mr. DeRoche, do you understand, and the state will be abandoning the enhancement paragraph. Mr. DeRoche, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. DeRoche, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. DeRoche, please stand on the X, follow the direction of our court clerk, and once you follow those directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day, She'll tell you what to do.
Thank you.
I don't think you had,
Thank you.
Mr.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, Mr. I don't think you had you didn't check this box off in the agreed conditions of 10 drug education class.
Okay.
You stated it. I think you stated it.
Yeah. Okay.
Would you raise your right hand
Oh, you're
for
right.
me?
Sure.
Do you swear you've never been convicted or given deferred adjudication or regular probation for misdemeanor or felony misdemeanor state?
Okay,
That was getting tangled up there.
okay.